It was Thanksgiving dinner. My father put his silverware down and said, "Your sister was meant to have a comfortable life, and your job is to pay for it. If you don't like it, you can leave." He didn't yell. He said it in a calm, steady voice that always hurt more than yelling. My mother's hand just stopped in the air. My sister, Harper, kept eating. The whole world felt like it stopped. I didn't fight him. I just picked up my plate, folded my napkin, and smiled. Like I finally understood the big secret in that case. I said, "I guess you'll be paying all the bills from now on." They both laughed, but it was a nervous laugh. I laughed too. What they didn't get was that the very dinner they were eating was the last thing I would ever pay for. That meal was going to cost them everything they had. When people ask me what finally made me break, they expect to hear about one big, terrible moment, but it wasn't like that. The problems had been growing for years, like little cracks under the floor. That dinner was just the moment the light finally showed how broken everything was. I grew up working in our family's art store. To everyone else, it looked cute. It had nice brushes, glass jars of paint, and always smelled like art supplies. But behind the scenes, things were not equal. My father, Richard, was the boss. My mother, Elena, just tried to keep the peace, and my sister, Harper, was the artist. She was treated like she was special, loved by everyone, and never had to do any real work. I wasn't the special one. I was the worker. You're the practical one. Kate, my dad always said it meant I was useful, but not exciting. I was the one who stayed late to count the money. I was the one who ordered supplies. I was the one who cleaned the paint off the tables and built the displays. Harper would paint at those same tables. And when she made a mess, my parents called it creative. When I was 11, I won a big design award. I ran home with the certificate. So proud. My dad just glanced at it. "Good," he said. "Now go help your sister sort her paints." A month later, Harper made a simple finger painting. My mom put it in a frame, made copies, and sold them at the store. Everyone talked about what a natural artist she was. I was just the efficient one. By the time I was in high school, I was already running the store on weekends. I designed the ads and paid the bills. Harper would skip her shifts to go draw pictures downtown. When she wanted to have a party for her art, I set up the lights and managed the guests. When it failed, Dad told her that failure was just part of being an artist. When I made the store earn a lot of money that summer, he just said I got lucky. I went to a good art college, got great grades, and became a curator. That's a person who decides what art is important enough to be shown in a gallery. My name started showing up in articles. My parents would tell everyone, "That's our daughter, Kate. She works with famous artists." But they were only proud when I did what they wanted. They didn't like it when I started to have my own life. Still, when they were late on their house payments, I sent them money. When Harper's art projects cost too much, I paid the bills so the store wouldn't get a bad name. Every time I sent money, I felt like I was just doing my duty. Family helps family. My mom always said. I believed her for a long time. Then I realized I wasn't helping family. I was just paying for my sister. The dinner they were so thankful for, they didn't. No, it was the last thing I'd ever do for them. The week before the Thanksgiving, I was so tired. I was working on a big art show at my gallery. I still drove to my parents' house the night before the holiday. It was just a habit. The house looked the same as it always had, but inside, it felt different. It felt small. Harper was on the couch, looking at her phone. She was wearing a new coat that cost a lot of money. "Mom and Dad got me a surprise," she said, showing me a new gold bracelet. "It's for my art milestone." Her milestone was a video with 500 likes. I just smiled. "That's great," I said. My dad came in. "Kate, did you bring the chutney?" he asked, not even looking at me. "Good, make sure you put it in. A nice bowl for dinner." I almost laughed. I manage entire museum shows, but he still thought my most important job was serving side dishes. Dinner started out fine. We were all being polite. Harper talked about her brand. I just stayed quiet. Then my dad cleared his throat. I knew he was about to say something mean. Your sister is doing so well, he said, smiling at Harper. She was born to live an easy life. You know, my hand slipped. Easy? I asked. He nodded. Yeah. Some people are just made for beauty. Other people are made for the hard work. You've always been good at the hard work, Kate. My mom looked nervous. Your father just means you're reliable, she said, looking away. Then my dad leaned back and said the words that changed my life. If you have a problem with that, Kate, there's the door. No one said anything. Harper just smirked. My mom stared at the table. In that moment, it all stopped hurting. I finally understood. This wasn't a family. This was a business. And I was the only one paying. I drove home that night with the radio off. The quiet felt good. I didn't cry. I wasn't even mad. I just felt clear for the first time. I wasn't upset. I was just watching them like they were a piece of art I was studying. And I was done pretending their mess was beautiful. My boyfriend, Mason, was waiting up for me. He looked at me and knew right away. How bad? I hung up my coat. Bad enough. I said, I'm done. I'm cutting them off. He didn't say anything. He just listened. I told him what happened. I told him about the toast and how my dad told me to leave. I thought my voice would shake, but it was perfectly calm. So, what's your plan? Mason asked. I opened my laptop and found my money folders. No, I said, I stopped paying to be their punching bag. I had been sending them money for 4 years. House payments, store supplies, loans for Harper. I had a file for everything. I started canceling the automatic payments, one by one. The house payment, delete. The store's account, remove. I felt like I was cutting the strings that had held me down. By midnight, I wrote a short email to my parents and sister. I am ending all my financial help right now. Please take my name off all your store accounts. Kate, I didn't yell or explain. I just stated the fact. The next morning, I woke up feeling clear. I drove to my gallery. My assistant was surprised. You're working today? Yep, I said. And I'm changing the name of the new show to what? Boundaries, I said. And it felt perfect. 3 days later, my phone started ringing. It was my mom, then my dad, then Harper. I didn't answer. I just watched their names pile up. Their voicemails got more and more scared. Kate, the house payment bounced. Call us. Your mother is a mess. Hey, sis, can you just send me $10,000? I save every message. That Friday, I drove past their store. The windows were dusty. A sign on the door said, closed, family emergency. I could see my dad inside, yelling into his phone. Harper was sitting on a stool, looking at her own phone, trying to ignore him. It should have made me sad. But it didn't. I just felt relief. It wasn't my problem to fix. That night, my Aunt Lillian called. Your parents are in serious trouble, she said. The government is checking their taxes. They lied about their business costs for Harper. She paused. And Kate, they listed your name as a co-signer. But the problem is only from the last 3 years. You can get your name cleared. But they can't. I sent one last email to my family. I know about the tax problem. I am not involved. I am sending in my own papers to prove it. Do not use my name on anything ever again. It was cold and it was final. On Saturday, my dad showed up at my apartment. I saw him on the security camera. He didn't look angry. He just looked small. Open the door, Katie, he said. I didn't. He spoke through the intercom. You think you can just leave us? This family will fall apart. I pressed the button. Then maybe it should. He hit the door once. You owe us, he yelled. I laughed a little. You're right, I said. And as of this week, I've finally paid you in full. Then I turned the speaker off. That Monday, the opening for my Boundaries art show was packed. Halfway through the night, Mason touched my arm. They're here. I turned. My parents and Harper were standing by the door. They looked like they didn't belong. My dad walked toward me. We need to talk, I smelled, like I would to any stranger. This isn't the right time. Then make it the time, he snapped. We are drowning, Kate. The bank is. The bank, I cut him off, doesn't care about your feelings. My mom stepped up. We just need your help until we can get back on our feet. I shook my head. You mean, until I pay off all your debts? Again, Harper finally spoke. You're just acting like you're better than us. I looked right at her. No, I'm just acting like I'm finally worth something. The party had gotten quiet. Everyone was watching us. I pointed to the broken mirror art piece behind me. You see that? I asked them. It's made of broken pieces. You can try to glue it back together, but it will never look the same. What does that mean? My dad asked, confused. It means you can fix your store, or you can lose it, I said. But I'm not one of the pieces you get to use. If you have a problem with that, there's the door. I said his own words back to him. He was stunned. He turned around and walked out. My mom and Harper followed him. The room was quiet. And then people started to clap. Later that night, Mason and I were the only ones left. Are you okay? He asked. I think so, I said. It's weird. The silence doesn't hurt anymore. He smiled. That's because it's finally your silence. They sold the store a few months later for almost nothing. They lost the house. My dad got a job loading trucks at night. My mom sold little paintings at a market. Harper got a job at a framing shop, finally learning how to do careful work. I moved into a beautiful new apartment. My next art show was picked up by a big museum. Its name was After the Silence. I think about that Thanksgiving when my dad told me to leave. He was right. Walking through that door was the best thing that ever happened to me. It saved me. I sent one last letter with no name and no return address. It said, love isn't one person's job. I hope you learn, but I'll be watching from far away. If you've ever had to leave the people who taught you to be small, tell me your story. Where are you watching from? I promise you are not alone.